A whistleblower came to the ASA regarding a mid-air collision. So that's another thing. This thing was actually mid-air. This wasn't like, this thing wasn't grounded. This thing wasn't like on preparing to take off. It was literally mid-air, and it collided between the Gulfstream jet and the unidentified metallic object. Drones over New Jersey. We know about it. UFOs coming out of the ocean in New Jersey. We know about it. But what if I was to tell you that there was a very close, there was a collision between a UAP and a pilot and an aircraft that just seemed to go flying under the radar, pardon the pun, right? And this was exposed by Ryan Graves over on Twitter after he posted quite a lengthy post in which he kind of outlines when a plane, which was like a private jet style plane, and a UAP collided, causing one of the engines to fail. Like, this is the kind of thing that shouldn't be flying under the radar. It should be the kind of thing that we all are very well aware of, because this could happen to literally anyone. This could be, like, whether this is a private jet with, say, 5 people on board, or a commercial airliner with 500 people on board. The difference shouldn't, there shouldn't be a difference depending on how many people are on that flight. This should be open source information, and we should know about what's going on in our skies. Same as what we should know what's going on in our seas. We should know about what's going on land. We should. And that's the key takeaway here. We should, but we never do. Anyway. The tweet from Ryan Graves goes as follows. A whistleblower came to the ASA regarding a mid-air collision. So that's another thing. This thing was actually mid-air. This wasn't like, this thing wasn't grounded. This thing wasn't like on preparing to take off. It was literally mid-air, and it collided between the Gulfstream jet and the unidentified metallic object that occurred off the coast of Florida on the December the 11th at approximately 27,000 feet and resulted in engine failure and an emergency landing. Now that's quite significant for a flight to ground like that. Like, this isn't just like, bird strikes obviously can cause this kind of thing, but I would trust that a pilot would know the difference between hitting a flock of birds, which is, I suppose quite common, and this metallic object that, has been unidentified. There are indications that the unidentified object, may have been a drone operating off the East Coast with atypical characteristics. So, regardless, it shouldn't have been there. The whistleblower is concerned because this altitude is highly regulated Class A airspace that requires flight plans and transponders. But in this instance, there were no flight plans for the object, and the object was not transponding. Obviously, again, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs, but that's the kind of situation where, things need to be regulated. Things need to be tracked. This wouldn't be a hobbyist drone because they are capped at a certain amount. I doubt this would be military, because that would be a very irresponsible thing for the military to do. So if this is a drone, like it's being touted to be, whose was it? How did they get it up there without anyone noticing? Obviously, it's not showed up on any radars, on any flight trackers. It's not been approved for this flight. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. We can largely eliminate the possibility of common objects because a weather balloon would have been transponding. All right, so this is ticking the boxes for Arrow to come out and be like, it was a weather balloon. This altitude is too high for hobby drones and illegal for any drone. That's what I was just stating there. There is no biological indicator of a bird strike. The video of the engine shows metal damage. Obviously, there's a difference when you hit a bird. Obviously, that's kind of mushy, I suppose, in comparison to something metallic. I'm concerned about this incident is being downplayed by the FAA. The report is being classified as an incident, not an accident, which would require public announcement investigated by the NTSB and an explanation. What is going on here? And then tagging in Donald Trump, the FAA, NTSB, and Sean Duffy. Major air safety events should be handled transparently, right? Completely agree with every sentiment made there. And obviously, they highlight some very key indicators there. And this was the flight plan that the jet was taken. So obviously that's the jet there, taken off from what looks to be just north of Pembroke. And then it takes off, loops around, comes up. And then I'm assuming it was around this height here where the collision took place, because they suddenly divert and land here. All right, and we can see this is the this is all of the important information regarding the plane. So it's in N553RB, hex A70C09. That's its reg, obviously up there, United States, all the rest of it. So I did a bit of digging into this to have a look at the specifications of this kind of jet, and it is a Gulfstream 5. So the technical specifications for anyone that's interested are right there. I have no idea what any of this means, but we've got performance, power plant, interior, distance, exterior, occupancy. So it takes 2 people, so 2 crew. Assumingly a pilot and maybe a stewardess, or maybe a pilot and a co-pilot, and it takes up to 16 passengers, so it's not like enormous, it's not a huge plane, right? But the jets obviously are on the back, as we're noticing here, right? So that would mean that whatever it was would have been well within the field of view of the pilots as they flew past, because it would have had to go over, like past their windows to get into the engines, which caused one of the engines to fail. We've got the whole description here. I don't think we need to really dive too deeply into that one, but it's a very concerning situation, right? So this is the registration for this particular aircraft, because we've obviously got all the registration stuff. So the summary is a 2004 Gulfstream Aerospace GV fixed wing multi-engine, 20 seats, 2 engines. The owner is the Bank of Utah Trustee, Salt Lake City. Airworthiness, standard or transport. It's got its own serial number. It's got Rolls-Royce engine, so it's not formed by Boeing, which is fantastic. Weight is over 20,000 pounds. Not defined in any speed. Model S code. Status, it is currently assigned, obviously. It's kind of insane, right? This kind of thing isn't just public knowledge, and it's not being investigated publicly. Obviously, it's stated by Ryan Graves on his tweets that if this was an accident, not an incident, right, it would have to be, it would require public announcement, right? Because if it was an accident, it would require public, I think that's what he's getting at. Surely both are required to be public announced. I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me know in the comments below if you know the answer to that. But this should have been announced. This kind of thing should be transparent, and especially when it's like, if it's a flock of birds, obviously people won't really bat an eye if you post that. But if you post this and it's like it's hit something metallic, which obviously is going to be the buzzword within that sentence, which has kind of made them reluctant. And also, is this kind of a shameful thing? Does this kind of show that they don't have control of their skies? If this is a drone, was able to get up to the heights of 27,000 feet and cause a plane to have an engine failure and cause an emergency landing, is that quite a shameful thing to have to own up to be like, oh yeah, actually, we cocked up here because we haven't got control of what goes up in our skies. Therefore, this cruiser was affected by this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, guys, I will speak to you later. Peace.